this condition. Brian Robson himself said to me he can't recall the Wembley pitch looking and feeling better.
The home of English soccer also hosts many other sports. Hockey, rugby and American football, for example. But Wembley Stadium maximises its profit potential by utilising the venue and its expertise of handling large crowds for numerous non-sporting events. In 1992 alone, the stadium was the venue for 14 rock concerts and the WWF SummerSlam wrestling event. Without doubt, Wembley is the busiest grass stadium in the world. The protection of this most famous hallowed turf is therefore critical. That protection is provided by Terraplas. Before purchasing this revolutionary ground protection system, Wembley Stadium insisted on their own exhaustive tests. This testing programme lasted for over 15 months.
We actually took 9 tiles early last year, 1990, to try on pop shows to actually ascertain as to whether they would sink in the turf or whether they would harm the turf in any way. And we used them on nearly all of our rock shows in 1990, on the Rolling Stones, Madonna, and had some quite good success with them.
What sort of success? I mean, what have they done for you?
One of the things we've proved to ourselves is that we can put the tiles down and leave them down for a number of days, which we've not been able to do with previous turf protection here for rock shows. We've moved them ever closer to nearer the stage. On the first time we put them down on the outside of the pitch here, and then we moved them week by week, pop show by pop show, until we were immediately in front of the stage where most of the amount of damage occurs. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it was my responsibility to make sure that the system would work. It's a lot of money to be spent on it, heavy investment for Wembley Stadium Limited. So therefore we spent a good 15 months in changing the design with Terraplas and working on the system until such times as we had proved to ourselves that basically the system would be okay.
Continuous research and development under the guidance of Professor Burley at Loughborough University of Technology led to further improvements in both the structure of the tiles and the high-density polyethylene material. The tiles endured the most rigorous testing program, including flexural modulation, ultraviolet degradation, extremes of temperature, shear stress endurance under constant load, and of course, reaction to impact. Extensive fire and safety tests were conducted by Rendell Scientific Services.
The tests are pretty comprehensive. We've done a whole series of laboratory tests on the materials for flammability, ignitability and so on. We've done small and large-scale tests with real rubbish fires. It only burns very, very slowly, doesn't produce a lot of smoke and doesn't produce a lot of toxic gases. And we've shown that in every case the public can just walk away from a fire on a surface like this in complete safety.
The product design was now firmly established and the tiles went into full production. The unique design of the Terraplas tile allows both air and light to reach and to continue to nourish the grass, thus eliminating the yellowing process associated with other ground protection systems. Terraplas therefore provides continuous protection for much longer periods than was previously possible. The tiles protect the grass not only from damage by fans, but also from the hundreds of tons of audio, lighting and television and stage equipment, from rigging right through to final breakdown. Special cable duct tiles allow the television, power and audio cables to be carried safely under the top surface. The process of laying the tiles is logical and simple. The tiles are placed into position by hand and locked together with 4 retaining cans. The non-slip surface remains effective in all weather conditions, and the even floor eliminates tripping accidents. Terraplas maintains a constant dialogue with its users around the world in order that special requirements and innovative ideas can be quickly translated to the manufacturing process. Steve Tingley, head groundsman at Wembley Stadium, has laid the system for numerous concerts at Wembley, as well as supervising and advising at many other venues. Terraplas chairman Robert Else caught up with Steve at the start of laying for the Madonna concert.
Andrew.
I must say, your grass is looking very, very good.
Not bad for the time of year, really.
Yes, good. Steve, we're always inundated with practical questions about fitting Terraplas. Now, you've had more experience than anybody else in the world. Would you mind telling us a few things about it? I noticed that when you started laying, you got a piece of string. Now, how do you actually start it, and why do you use the string?
Well, today was rather difficult because there's a thrust in front of the stage, which means our datum points, as it were, are in a different place. So we had to measure today to find the middle. The reason we find the middle is so that we know how far we're going to go over the edge of the grass at the sides.
So that you mean that you start off in the right place?
Well, absolutely. If you don't start off in the right place, then you could be too far over one way when you finish, not enough on the other side. And also, you obviously got to get it square. If you don't get it square, you'll end up over 120 metres or so. You're going to end up in a situation where the whole thing's out of line.
Yeah. I also noticed that you were actually pulling the tiles as well.
That's right. What we do is we lay them in a fashion, as you can see behind, in a staggered formation like this. And the reason for that is so that it keeps it square and it just makes it easier.
Right.
Having said that, when you lay at the end of each line, either at that end of the scale or at this end, we just pull them out, which pulls the expansion out and keeps everything nice and square.
Great, great. Well, how many people have you actually got working here today?
I've got 10 casuals on my own staff, so there's about 16 people actually working. That includes forklift drivers and whatever.
Right. And how long, I mean, you've only been going about 10 minutes and you seem to be going quite well.
That's right.
How long do you think it'll take you to actually fit it?
I would think we'll be finished something like about 6, 7 o'clock this evening. Right. It's a good long day, but the boys are getting used to it. Everyone knows what they're doing now, so it goes quite quickly.
I see that you've already got the mixing tower built.
The problem we've got on this particular show is that it's the first show of a world tour. The artist,
Madonna, isn't it?
Madonna.
Yeah.
She wants to rehearse for 2 days prior to the show, and therefore, for that reason, they have to have a mixer tower. So what we've done on this particular occasion is built the mixer on Terraplas, and we'll build the Terraplas around it as we work our way down the pitch.
When did you actually lay the Terraplas to put the?
That was laid on Wednesday afternoon, and it'll come off next Monday.
You're not bothered about the grass?
No. I mean, we've had it down for that period of time before over the whole pitch. So on this particular occasion, on an area like that, we're not too bothered. It'll be fine.
Whilst we're talking about the mixing tower, a lot of people want to know what sort of weight they can put onto the Terraplas. Obviously, this is pretty heavy. How do you actually do it?
I'll show you. Let's go and have a look.
Okay, thanks.
As you can see, Robert, we don't actually lay the Terraplas and put the tower directly on top. Yeah. We ask them to put down a scaffold board, and then the actual mixer unit is built off a scaffold board.
So that will take any sort of weight that you want it to take, really?
Well, it's never not taken weight that we've put on it. This particular mixer unit's not a big one, so it's not a problem for us. We've had bigger things than this on top of the Terraplas. Right. But you must put it on the scaffold board to obviously spread the weight.
So there's no damage to the Terraplas nor the turf underneath it?
Absolutely not. I mean, we prefer to build the mixer unit on the mixer if it's at all possible, and the reason for that is that they do so much damage in putting it up.
Yes. That
if you have the Terraplas there in the first place, then obviously you're protecting from day one, and therefore you're not making so much mess.
Right. Now you say these tiles have been down since Wednesday, so
these went down Wednesday.
3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Can we just have a look at what the grass is like now for 3 days?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we take this one out here. This is actually quite a good test because it's been here for 3 days, and it's had a lot of traffic on it because of the building of the mixer unit. So with trolleys and with stuff like that. So it's It's been in position. Yeah. Yeah. As you can see where the feet have been, obviously.
Yeah.
But having said that, they're not impressed into the turf as such. The grass is flattened.
So it's not damaged it?
No, it's not damaged yet, and then it's just a case of, I mean, we put a brush on and we'll mow it afterwards, and
it'll be back to normal?
You're back to square one, yeah.
The cables for the mixing tower. Now, I know here at Wembley you've got a duct that goes underneath the ground, but obviously you've got other cables as well. What do you do about those?
Well, we're lucky because we've got the ducting system that runs, as you say quite rightly, from the mixer tower to the stage itself. Having said that, if the mixer's built off-centre, then that obviously gives us a problem because we've got to get cables from the hole to the mixer unit, and also if we have delay towers or projector towers behind the mixer, we have to get cables to those units as well. So what we have, that's right. What we have is a Terraplas cable duct tile, which, as you can see, has two areas scalloped out underneath to allow the cables to run through. And if we just sort of demonstrate on these cables here, it fits over there, and as you can see, it remains quite free underneath, and therefore it doesn't damage the cables.
And you can get all the cables that you need for a mixing tower, no matter how big it is, through these cables.
We've done that. I mean, we had U2 earlier this year. Right. Their mixing tower was off-centre. It was to one side of the stadium rather than in the middle, as it is for this particular show. All the cables, therefore, had to go through the ducting tile because we couldn't use the duct system we have under the pitch. We still would have had to have gone across the pitch to get to the mixer tower. So what we actually did is we run all the cables out beneath the Terraplas tile. It's not a problem. The safety people like this because obviously otherwise you'd have to put the cables on top and then protect as well, and they don't obviously want that. They want a flat floor for everybody to be nice and safe.
That's great. Paul, we've spoken to Steve Tingley about the practical side of laying Terraplas. I'd now like to ask you, as commercial director at Wembley, how you found the purchase of Terraplas systems work for you.
I think it's fair to say, Robert, that we've had the system down over a number of seasons now, and we've seen the benefits both in terms of the operation and being able to encourage the shows to come to Wembley that have come to the stadium. So there's been an operational benefit there, but there's also been a commercial benefit that we've picked up on over the recent years, whereby we've been able to generate revenue ourselves through hiring out the system to venues smaller than ourselves, which demonstrates the flexibility of the system. So we can put it into other stadia, utilising the knowledge that we have, or more importantly, obviously, the knowledge that Terraplas have, and the commercial benefits that have been generated from that have to be well in excess of £150,000 a year to us.
So it's been very profitable for you.
It's been profitable, but hopefully we could see a more profitable route through continued use of the system elsewhere.
The ability to hire the Terraplas system encouraged an equally famous English stadium, Old Trafford, the home of Manchester United, to host the WBO-WBC World Super Middleweight Boxing Championship in the middle of their championship season. Robert Ells spoke to head groundsman Keith Kent just hours before the event.
Keith, what does this season mean for Manchester United?
For Manchester United, perhaps the best season we've had in prospect for 26 years. As you know, last season we won the championship and we are now the reigning champions in England, and we're having a run in the European Cup, which means hell of a lot financially to the club and in prestige-wise to the club. To me personally, it's great to stage such great matches and have it seen all around the world.
Why, in that case, why did you allow this sort of event in the middle of your season on your pitch?
Well, I must admit, when I first heard of the boxing, I wasn't too happy myself. The same as you're thinking, October, Manchester, rainfall, dodgy weather, I was a bit nervous. But I pressed for the pitch covering called Terraplas, and the board agreed with me, and we've gone for Terraplas.
So you obviously knew about Terraplas then?
Yes, I've been down to Wembley Stadium for the launch of Terraplas, and I've also seen it at pop concerts, and I'm very impressed with it.
OK, so what's your feelings at the moment then, Keith?
Nervous. I'm a bit apprehensive because I've never seen it up here in Manchester. It's all right looking at it on somebody else's pitch and saying it's doing a good job, but I'm nervous about my pitch, I must be honest.
A record crowd of over 42,000 spectators attended the event, with 10,000 ringside spectators seated on the pitch.
Well, Keith, how do you feel now?
Well, as I said to you yesterday, Robert, I was very nervous, but today I'm delighted. We have a game here in 5 days' time against top-class opposition, and the pitch is ready.
Keith, we're standing in the area where the ring was, and I know that you were particularly worried about this part.
Yes, this is the bit of the pitch that I was most concerned about. This was covered for 4 days. That's 4 days with a bit of weight on and no light whatsoever. And as you can see, it survived brilliantly, and I'm delighted with it.
That's marvellous.
I'm pleased.
In the first 2 years of production, an estimated 10 million people have stood, walked, relaxed and danced on a Terraplas ground protection system at over 50 venues in 11 countries. For example, in Scotland, a Terraplas walkway protected the grass continually for 1 month for the Rugby World Cup. Corporate entertainment areas at the Henley Rowing Regatta. And leisure facilities at the Wimbledon Tennis Championships in England. Spectator facilities in Denmark for the Canoeing World Championships, and in Spain, the sponsors' village at the Olympic Games. Foxborough Stadium, the home of the New England Patriots American football team, purchased Terraplas for the Elton John concert. And in Germany, the field at the Mecca Stadium Stuttgart was protected during the opening ceremony of the World Athletics Championship. The Stockholm Water Festival purchased Terraplas to protect the government building lawns. Over 4 million people visit this 10-day event every year. Terraplas was also purchased by Parken Stadium in Copenhagen. The opening ceremonies included 6 days of boxing, opera and a pop concert. 2 days later, Denmark played Germany on a perfect pitch. But it's the concerts of the world's top music performers, forever searching for new venues, that encourages stadia worldwide to maximise their profits by accommodating these concerts. Many hesitate, fearing the consequences if the grass was irreparably damaged. Terraplas has now provided the confidence and security for stadia around the world to participate in this lucrative market, and the list is growing.